Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. I don't know if you can hear me or if you're even there. I don't know if you would listen to the Bruntage here, but maybe you will join us and talk Disney with me. And if you choose not to, well, sorry. Later on, we'll see. Hey, Shelly, how you doing? Yeah. So I'm sure I'm gonna have to explain this later on to people too, but just to start us off here, I know last week we talked about how we were gonna go live in the park, but at that point, I didn't realize that there was a party going on over at the Magic Kingdom tonight. Because my plan was we'll go live from Magic Kingdom, and then it ends up there was a Christmas party tonight over at Magic Kingdom. So because of that, unfortunately, we are not at the park. I did consider the idea of going over to Hollywood Studios and doing Phantasmic and then running to like the resorts, and it just wasn't working out. So, unfortunately, this week we are not coming to you from the parks. We will be coming to you from the parks for sure in probably 3 weeks. Hello, Dapper Vanta crew. How you doing? Um, I'm thinking because right now this is our 797th episode, so I'm thinking maybe for the 800th episode we will come to you live in the parks. So it is all kind of up in the air right now, but that is kind of the tentative schedule of what we may be doing. What day would that be? That'd be the 18th. Let's look up the park hours right now before I start making promises. So it's not like this week, or all of a sudden it's like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Oh no! I was supposed to be at Walt Disney World today, but a deer hit me and totaled my car. I'm okay. A little whiplash and oh my gosh. I hope you're okay. That's awful. But besides the whiplash and the little shoulder pain, everything else is okay? Like no broken bones or anything? We'll see. We will keep you up to date on this story. Here, let's see here too. The 18th. Magic Kingdom's only open until 9 on the 18th, but Epcot's open until 9:30. So maybe we'll do Epcot that day. I'm trying to figure this all out. Life is getting hectic right now. We will also be talking about the book tonight. We're going to be talking about a few other things. I don't think we're going to have a very packed show tonight. It is the day before Thanksgiving for those people who are watching later on. And typically, historically, the day before Thanksgiving episodes are usually not very well watched. They're usually some of our lesser viewed videos. Nothing else wrong with me except emotionally shook and sad I'm not at Disney. Totally understand that. That I would be. If I go a day without Disney, I get sad. So I understand that idea. All right, let's get this party started. We're going to start the 797th episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 797th episode of the Wednesday show. Today is November 27th, 2024, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be going through and talking about Disney with you guys. We don't have the specific topic in place right now, but what I am thinking, because we do have a smaller crowd most likely throughout the show tonight, I'm kind of thinking what we might do is do an Ask the Expert segment. So we can kind of go through, you guys can either throw out very vague questions and I can go into lots of detail about it, or we can go through massive deep dives about different Disney topics as well. So we will kind of go through that kind of stuff in just a few minutes here. But before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you everyone out there who's been joining us for our Saturday in the park. If you didn't already know, every single Saturday, right over on my YouTube channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. You never know where we're going to be coming to you from, but I promise you, we will always be coming to you live from Disney. So make sure you join us every single Saturday for that. And of course, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because that will allow you to see when we are going live for those broadcasts. And let's take a look at our thing here. I forgot I get this set up. I literally had everything set up today, and I was so proud of myself, but I guess I did not. We're starting off at 8,165 subscribers. So we are starting off pretty strong. So keep on sending your friends over, and we will hopefully have it so this number goes up to 8,199 by the end of the day. So 34 more subscribers. I highly doubt it. Like I have said before, tonight's episode is usually a very slow episode. And of course, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our Patreon pals, the Patreon pals. If you are one of our Patreon pals in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. Okay, so like I said, tonight what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through and answering your questions about anything and everything Disney. We also have a few other announcements to talk about, and actually we'll probably start with that while you guys start throwing your questions into the comments. But we're going to go through and answer any and all questions that you guys have about anything and everything Disney. This can be things like, tell us how Moana 2 is, which I see someone's already written that into the comments. It can also be things more elaborate, like, can you tell us a fun fact about Pirates of the Caribbean over in Disneyland? Or it can be things like, why on earth is the Phantom Manor and not the Haunted Mansion over in Disneyland Paris? That doesn't make sense to me. So we can go through and answer any and all questions that you guys have about anything and everything Disney. So start throwing those questions into the comments below. But before we get to that, let's do a little quick update. Start throwing your questions in the comments, and we will go through them as soon as we finish up our update here. So if you joined us last week we had a longish episode where I was very tired. I'm still very tired, but the last like 2 weeks have been exhausting. But let me explain why, and let me explain why I'm excited but exhausted. So last week we went through and we spoke about Dinoland USA. We did an entire episode about Dinoland USA, and what I said at the end of that episode was my goal is to have it so the entire first draft of the book is done by Thursday before I go to bed. And last Thursday, we finished the book. So a closer look at Disney's Animal Kingdom's Dinoland USA is completely written. From start to finish, completely written. Right now, I am going through the editing stage. So right now, I am going through everything the editors have sent back to me. They have sent me everything. There is one bit, I think it's like the last 2, maybe 3 chapters, are in the mail right now to me. They're supposed to be getting here later on. I think it's either Saturday or Monday. I can't remember which day. But either Saturday or Monday, we will be getting those chapters in. And I'm extremely excited because I have been going through, let's pull some up here. I've been going through all these different pieces of paper right here with a lot of different notes, a lot of different things, and a lot of things that just say, do you need a comma here? Do you need a question mark here? And different things like that. But we have a lot of notes, and we're going to be going through and talking about, or we're going to be talking about the release of that book in the very near future. So the book is complete, and I'm extremely, extremely excited. So we just have a few little things left, but if everything falls into place the way that everything has been falling into place, this book could be in your hands before 2025. So keep on watching out for that as we go through and have it so we answer things. I just realized I still have my watch, and I always charge my watch while we're doing the Wednesday show. So we're going to go through and do that. Hello, Zoe. How you doing? So Zoe, and we had a few other people who just joined as well. For those of you guys just joining, we are doing an Ask the Expert episode tonight where you guys can ask any and all questions about anything and everything Disney. Okay, so yeah, so big news, a closer look at Disney's Animal Kingdom's Dinoland USA will probably be coming out before 2025, before January 1st, 2025. It might be December 31st, 2024, might be the day that it comes out, but we will have that book out. It will be out before 2025, which makes me extremely excited. I've been working extremely hard for the last 14 months on this book, so I am so happy to finally have it all done. Okay, let's go through and start answering some of your questions. We have a lot of, well, not a lot of questions. We got a few questions coming in. If you guys have any questions out there, start throwing those questions out there. Like I said earlier, I know it's going to be a quieter show. It's the day before Thanksgiving. There's some people who are traveling right now, so it can be a more intimate show for all of us. How was Moana 2? Let's talk about Moana 2. So yesterday I attended the D23 event, Moana, the celebration and screening. So overall, I thought Moana 2 was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. So I talked about this a little bit. This is not going to be, we're going to avoid spoilers. I did release a little review about it today over on my YouTube channel. But if you didn't watch that, it's pretty much the same thing. But without it giving any spoilers away, originally Moana 2 was supposed to be a Moana series on Disney+. And if you watch it with that in mind, you can tell like each episode on where each episode is of the 6 episodes. So overall, I thought it was a really good movie. You could tell that it was not originally supposed to be a theatrical movie, but at the same time, I think it worked out very well. So I'm excited about it. I want to see it again. I know that there's some things in there that I probably missed. There's some things that I want to look into further. And yeah, overall, the music, not as good as the first movie. The story, not as good as the first movie, but at the same time, it was still a good enough movie. I think if this was the first Moana movie, I think people would be like, oh my gosh, this is a great movie. But because we have Moana setting the expectations, the Moana 2 is just not as good. But I think if it was not for the original Moana, I think people would be absolutely in love with this movie. How do you feel about the revamp of Rock and Roller Coaster and Muppet 3D going? Okay, let's talk about this one. I knew someone was going to ask this, and let's talk about it because we could go through. There's some good questions coming in. Keep on throwing your questions out there, and we will answer any and all questions as we go through here about anything and everything Disney. Okay, so how do you feel about the revamped Rock and Roller Coaster and Muppet Vision 3D going away? So for the Aerosmith going away and being replaced by Muppet Vision, or by not Muppet Vision, but by the Muppets, I'm actually kind of excited. I like Aerosmith. I think the music's good. It is like a tradition of having Aerosmith there, but at the same time, if you've ever been to Disneyland Paris, they have the Walt Disney Studios Park, which is becoming the Walt Disney Adventureland Park, right? Yeah. Or Disney Adventureland. I can't remember. It's something weird. It's something that's like Adventureland. But over in Disneyland Paris's second park, they have Rock and Roller Coaster. And the Rock and Roller Coaster theme over there was a completely different theme than this one, even though it was still Aerosmith. But in this case, it was Aerosmith was building a roller coaster. And that was literally the pre-show, was the band was sitting there building a roller coaster. And they're like, at this point, it could go going down. And then they switched that attraction over to an Iron Man attraction. I've done the Aerosmith version. I have not done the Iron Man one. But from people who I've talked to who have done the Iron Man one, they've all said that the Iron Man storyline is so much better than the Aerosmith storyline. So I do have a lot of faith in the Imagineers of switching Rock and Roller Coaster over to a Muppet-themed roller coaster. I think it's going to be successful. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited to see exactly how we're going to have it happen. But I'm sure it's going to be the Electric Mayhem and Kermit and Miss Piggy and Gonzo and Fozzie, probably like the main characters, along with the Electric Mayhem, are going to be telling the story. And I think it's going to be a really fun attraction. And I'm really looking forward to it. Muppet Vision 3D. Let's talk about Muppet Vision 3D. We're going to talk about Muppet Vision 3D for a few minutes here. So while I go through and answer this question, throw your questions out there. But let's talk a little bit about Muppet Vision 3D. So first off, Thursday night / Friday morning at 3:30 a.m., I finished writing a closer look at Disney's Animal Kingdom's Dinoland USA. 7 hours later, Disney announces that Muppet Vision 3D is going away from Disney's Hollywood Studios. And right away, I was like, do I have to write another book? And I really had been going through in my head for the last, whatever it's been, 5 days, 6 days, 5 days. And like mathematically trying to figure out my life and trying to figure out do I have the time to write this book? Do I have the time to postpone the cruise line book that I've been working on for years to get another book done about another section that will be going away? Because part of me thinks that it's great for historical purposes. Like Dinoland USA, the main reason why I wanted to write a book about Dinoland USA was due to the fact that Dinoland USA had an elaborate, amazing, extensively detailed storyline that most people just have always completely ignored. And I was like, I need to preserve this storyline before it goes away. Muppet Vision, however, is not the same. Like Muppet Vision is not one of those where it's like, in my head, I've always been like, okay, top 5 books that I have to write at some point in my life, Muppet Vision and like the Grand Avenue area. That has not been in the top of my list of books, but at the same time, now I'm kind of like, well, maybe I do need to write a book about Pizza Rizzo, Muppet Vision. Mama Melrose has tons of details inside. Studio One gift shop has a lot of details. It's a wonderful shop, has wonderful details. Even Gonzo's Royal Flush, the bathrooms have really cool details. So part of me is like, there's a lot to do. Like there is a lot that I need to cover, and I'm very tempted to write this book. However, I don't think this is the end of Muppet Vision 3D. Even Disney has said it's not the end of Muppet Vision 3D, but I think what people are thinking is completely different than what Disney's going to do. This is what I think Disney's going to do. What most people are saying is, in the official statement, they said, don't worry, Muppet Vision 3D will be saved for all future to enjoy. And everyone's like, oh, it's going to Disney Plus. I don't think it's going to Disney Plus. And here's why I think it's not going to Disney Plus. Number one, it's not 3D. Number two, the amazing thing about Muppet Vision 3D that would not work if it was on Disney Plus is Statler and Waldorf play a huge role in the film. Bean Bunny plays a huge role in the film. The Penguins are referenced multiple times. Sweetums plays a huge role in the film, and the Swedish Chef plays a huge role in the film. All of these different characters are out on this, like in the actual living set with the guest. So having a show on Muppet Vision 3D, and you have it so Statler and Waldorf are there, and Fozzie Bear is making reference to characters that you can't see when you're at home, or when they're going through and they're talking to the Swedish Chef, who would be behind you, and you can see him behind you at Muppet Vision 3D, but you wouldn't be able to see him there, or the Penguins, or Sweetums, or Bean Butt. It doesn't make sense for them to put it on Disney Plus. So this is my theory, and I think I might be right. I could be completely wrong, but I got a really strong gut feeling that I'm right on this one. I think that Muppet Vision 3D will exist in Disney's Hollywood Studios. So we are going to be getting the Rock and Roller Coaster starring the Muppets sometime in the future. We don't know exactly when. We don't have an exact date on when this will exist. Right next door is where Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy was going to be, or was, not was going to be, where it was. And Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy has closed up as of like a month ago to make way for a brand new villains show. And that's what a lot of people, when I talk to them about this theory, they're like, but the brand new villains show is going to be there. Yes. And I'm still convinced that there is going to be a brand new villains show there. However, I think the villains show is a temporary spot for them to figure out if a villain style show would fit inside of Villains Land over at Magic Kingdom. The villains show, I think, is just a temporary thing. I think it's like let's do test runs. What do people like? What don't they like? What can we do for the future? So when we open up Villains Land, this is what we can actually bring over to that area. And once they bring that over to that area, then they have a vacant building there. And this vacant building just happens to be right next to Rock and Roller Coaster, starring the Muppets. So it would just make sense for them to take Muppet Vision 3D and move it over there. Now, I've talked to a few people about this, and a few people I've talked to said, well, it doesn't make sense because Disney would spend a fortune to replicate that theater. And why would they ever replicate that theater? Well, they have twice before. So the theater has been in Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's also been in Disney California Adventure. It was also at one of the overseas parks at one point too. So the fact that we actually have had Muppet Vision in a few different spots, completely replicated, looking exactly like what it looks like over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is the original park that it was at, it just makes sense in my mind to have it so that attraction will live on. I know some people think I'm completely wrong, and I could be completely wrong, but I have a very strong gut feeling that Muppet Vision 3D will exist. Now, the last point, and you know what? Let's actually bring up the actual thing. So, if you are on Instagram, and the first thing you should do is follow Brent Dodge on Instagram. Second thing you should do is go check out the Henson Company, because the Henson Company put out this picture the day that they announced that Muppet Vision 3D was going on, or that was closing. And here they wrote the following. Jim Henson's final project was Muppet Vision 3D, now regarded as a true theme park classic. Innovation was always Jim Henson's North Star, and his trailblazing career led him to a unique challenge, a truly immersive Muppet experience where audiences are part of the happy chaos of the iconic Muppet Show. Originally debuting in 1991, Muppet Vision 3D combined 3D technology with real-world practical effects alongside animatronic and live Muppet characters. The result was a one-of-a-kind Jim Henson experience, and an unforgettable capstone to Jim's magnificent career. As we learn of the show's upcoming closure in its current form at Disney's Hollywood Studios, we look forward to Muppet Vision 3D's next act. Check and mate. No, so because of that, I'm pretty sure Muppet Vision will live on in some way, shape, or form. Also, this literally Muppet Vision was the last project that Jim Henson ever worked on before he passed away. So I think we'll see. We'll see. Keep on throwing your questions in the comments. I just took like 50 minutes for that second question. Do you think Rock and Roller Coaster will stay Muppets themed, or will it change? You mean like after release? I think Muppets will. Okay, so here is a contract with the Henson Company and the Disney Company, which doesn't make much sense anymore because Disney did purchase the Muppets back in 2004. But back in 1990, Disney was talking about possibly purchasing the Muppets. And while they were going through the contracts, Jim Henson actually drew up a little contract with the Disney Company that the Muppets always had to have at least one attraction in their parks for all time. So it does make sense that possibly if Rock and Roller Coaster is the only attraction, that would be, of course, the only spot for us to have the Muppets inside those parks. But at the same time, who knows? I mean, we've had several different Muppet attractions throughout the years. There was things like Here Come the Muppets, which was creepy. That was over where the Voyage of the Little Mermaid currently sits. It was like live giant Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy and Gonzo and Bean Bunny, and it was chaotic. But I loved it still. So yeah, I think we will have the Muppets staying at Rock and Roller Coaster for at least the next 15, 20 years after it opens. That's my guess. It could be shorter. It could be much, much longer. I'm thinking it's going to be much, much longer, though. The other nice thing about switching it to Muppets and not having something like Aerosmith there is Aerosmith, even though they still have a huge following, Muppets, they can keep on changing the attraction because they own the Muppets. So they can be like, oh, you know what? Let's switch up a few things in the pre-show. Well, that's easy. We own the Muppets. Like, let's just bring in the Muppet performers and we'll have it so they update the pre-show. So I think Muppets are there for a very long haul. I'm doing well. It's finals time this semester, so I'm stressed, but doing well. How are you? I'm doing good. Thank you. People are like, what are they talking about? That was from like 20 minutes ago before I got asked the Muppets and Rock and Roller Coaster question. Have you opened Disney Electronic Trading Card Game Pass? I have. I have a whole stack of them over there. I have at least one of each case of each, like how there's like the Scrooge McDuck packet and a Peter Pan packet and Maleficent packet. I have at least one of those starter packs of every single game so far, with the exception of the last two. I still need to buy those ones, which came out the day of the first day of the D23 Expo. So I'm a little behind, but I do have a lot of cards. Moana took me by surprise. I really loved it. It's a great movie. I think it's a good movie. Do you think they could possibly move the show It's Tough to Be a Bug, like the rumor of what they might do to Muppet Vision 3? Okay. Here's the thing. I personally love It's Tough to Be a Bug. I literally just watched it Monday. I think it was Monday. I went over there and watched it. I love It's Tough to Be a Bug. not many people love It's Tough to Be a Bug. That's the problem with It's Tough to Be a Bug. As much as I would love It's Tough to Be a Bug to continue living on forever and ever and ever and ever, I do think that when It's Tough to Be a Bug closes sometime next year to make way for the Zootopia 3D show, I do think that's going to be the end of It's Tough to Be a Bug. I don't think we'll ever see It's Tough to Be a Bug again. I hope I'm wrong, because I think it's such a clever show. I think it's hilarious. I think there's so many little jokes that most people just whoosh, right over their heads. I love the when the termite comes in, he's like, "I am the termitator," and then when he leaves, he's like, "I'll be back," as a reference to the Terminator. I'll be back. I'll be back. There's just so many really clever things with it. But unfortunately, I do think that It's Tough to Be a Bug is, I think it's on its last legs. I don't think it's going to last very much longer. And when I was there the other day, it's so funny because now I either sit way up towards the front by Hopper, so I have a good view of Hopper when he pops up, or I sit way in the back. And it's very entertaining sitting way in the back because you can watch all the people leave. Because it's like you'll see these families walking, and I'll be like, yeah, that kid's not going to make it through. That kid's not going to make it through. That, and you can make bets with your friends. Like, you're like, how many kids do you think are going to leave in this one? The other day, the very first act, when it's chilly and he's shooting they're shooting the acorns, and he's hitting them with this kid behind me started crying. I was like, it gets much worse from here, kid. And as soon as the acid came out, that family was out of there. So I don't think It's Tough to Be a Bug is going to last much longer, unfortunately. I wish it would go on, but it would be great if they moved it someplace else. But at the same time, it's just tough to do. Like, I was thinking about like Captain EO the other day, because Captain EO, for those of you guys who don't know, let's do a quick little recap of Captain EO. Captain EO opened up in the mid 1980s at Epcot at the Magic Eye Theater, and then it made its way out the door to make way for Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. And then when Michael Jackson passed away, there was enough people online who were like, bring back Captain EO. And so Disney actually brought back Captain EO in 2010, and it lasted for about 2 years. And it was kind of crazy because I was like, Captain EO was gone for a long time, like literally like 15 years, and then all of a sudden it came back. So who knows? Maybe It's Tough to Be a Bug will live on in the future, but as of right now, I think right now we're not going to see it again for a very long time, except for in our heads and our hearts. Keep on throwing your questions out there. If you guys have any questions about anything and everything Disney, make sure you throw them into the comments. Who are your top 3 favorite Muppets? Ooh, that's a really good question, because I switch this up all the time. Gonzo and Fozzie are 2 of the top ones. By the way, okay. For the person who wrote this question, speaking in code, the person who you know and I know that lived in your complex that I work with said that they're most like Fozzie because they're sensitive and have a very funny sense of humor. I don't see it. More like Eeyore, but I think I got Gonzo. Literally sits right here. I love Gonzo. I've always loved Gonzo. Oh, there's another Gonzo. Just to further prove my point, I really do love Gonzo. Gonzo is one of my favorite characters. It's tough not to say Kermit, because Kermit is great. It's also tough not to say Miss Piggy, because Miss Piggy is great. It's also tough not to say Beaker, because Beaker is great. Is this the one that his head? Yeah, his head goes down and up. But I've been a huge Muppets fan my entire life. I grew up constantly watching the Muppet movie. I was going to say great moments of history with that's not it. The Great Muppet Caper, and then Muppet Say Man. Those were like 3 movies in the 80s. Like Brent Dodge was like watching over and over and over again. So I love the Muppets. But yeah, I'm going to say Fozzie, Gonzo, and I kind of want to say Rizzo or Pepe. I always loved Rizzo, but Pepe's really grown on me the last few years. I'm going to say Pepe is my third one. We're going to say Pepe. Pepe is hilarious in Muppet Haunted Mansion. For you, it's Kermit, Fozzie, and Miss Piggy. Those are good, solid choices. I honestly, there's not many Muppets that I just dislike. Like I love the majority of the Muppets. Is there any Muppets that I don't like? There's got to be at least one. I can't think of a single time where like I'm watching Muppets, I'm like, oh, this guy. Okay, let's keep on going through your questions here. Again, if you guys have any questions, throw those questions out there, and we'll answer any and all questions as we go through here. I hope we have a moment in the new Muppet roller coaster that Animal takes over. That would be great. I would love. That's a great idea. Can we mourn Disney Quest for a second? Yes. Let's do a few fun finds and a few details about Disney Quest that I personally loved. Where's my my Disney Quest stuff is over there. I was at Disney Quest on the final day that I was in operation, and they gave everyone little certificates when you're leaving. It is over there, right? Yeah, it's over on that shelf. Okay. I just don't know where on that shelf, but I know it's on that shelf someplace. So let's talk a little bit about Disney Quest. Again, if you guys have any questions, because it looks like we are running low on our questions here, so keep on throwing those questions in the comments. This is our last question. Yeah, please. We also have Love Pepe from the Muppets. Pepe is great. I love Pepe. Ooh, and I like this too. Bring back. We're going to talk about Kite-Tails in a second too. This is just awesome to come. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and all we're doing is talking about morning things. Oh, Rock and Roller Coasters are closing. Oh, Muppet Vision closing. Oh, let's talk about Disney Quest. Let's talk about Kite-Tails. Are we thankful for anything, people? I'm thankful for a lot of things. So let's talk about Disney Quest. So Disney Quest, for those of you guys who don't know, Disney Quest was originally planned to have it so there's going to be multiple locations all around the country as a indoor theme park for people who couldn't make their way to Walt Disney World or Disneyland. So there were two that opened. There was the one in Disney Springs, or at that point it was downtown Disney, opened up. And then the other one was actually found in Chicago, not far from where Walt Disney was actually born. And the one in Chicago, I was so mad when I finally found out that it was there, because this was like right around the time when the internet was there, but there wasn't really social media. It was like a big thing. And I just remember I found out that Disney Quest was in Chicago, and I freaked out because I lived in Wisconsin at the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can go down to Chicago. And so I looked into it. I was all set to go down to Chicago to go to Disney Quest. Life was great until I found out it closed like 2 weeks beforehand for good. And I was like, are you kidding me? So when they went through and they were going to go through and create Disney Quest, they wanted to have it so it was going to be this 5-story interactive thing for people to go through. Now, a few different things that are really interesting about Disney Quest that I don't think many people know. Number one, let's talk a little about Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill Nye actually has his own paragraph, or maybe 2 paragraphs, in my upcoming book. But Bill Nye the Science Guy actually was the host of Cyberspace Mountain, and where he would go through and he would talk about the physics of roller coasters and different things like this. This was going to be at the same time that he was creating the audio for Dinosaur. So if you go through the queue line of Dinosaur, still to this day, you can hear Bill Nye the Science Guy come on about every 5 minutes in the room with the Carnotaurus, and he goes through and talks about how dinosaurs were destroyed by this asteroid. In addition to that, he also has a few other audios too, but that's like the biggest one that he has. And so when they were filming the audio for that, they said, hey, we're also creating this brand new thing called Cyberspace Mountain. Can you come over there and film things like that? So at that point, Bill Nye the Science Guy actually had a contract with Disney, because his films, or his show, Bill Nye the Science Guy, was done by ABC, but it was put on PBS, but it was very confusing. But in the contract that he had, it was that they could use him for different promotional things with science-related things inside the parks. So he was the host of Interventions. Then he went off to do Universe of Energy with Ellen DeGeneres, and then he would do Dinosaur, and then finally he would do Cyberspace Mountain over at Disney Quest. In addition to that, we also had a few other really cool attractions at Disney Quest. um, including the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, which I personally loved. I think so. I remember in 1992, November 1992, little Brent went to the theater with his family, and we watched Aladdin in theaters. And my aunt lives about 3 hours south of here. So we used to drive from Wisconsin down to visit her every single year, her and my cousins. And while we would drive down, we would always stop at Disney. So that's where my love of Disney began. And I remember watching Aladdin theaters and thinking that scene when they are on the magic carpet trying to escape the Cave of Wonders, I remember at 8 years old thinking, this is going to be, they're going to make a ride about this. This is going to be the coolest ride ever. And then they came out with the Magic Carpets of Aladdin at Magic Kingdom. I was like, oh. And then they came out with the virtual reality one at Disney Quest. And I was like, this is what I was talking about when I was 8 years old. This is the greatest thing ever. And I really, really enjoyed it. Even though it gave me a headache, I really enjoyed it. There was a few other things that were in there that had different collaborations, like the extraterrestrial alien encounter was, again, a partnership with George Lucas. So George Lucas actually helped create the extraterrestrial alien encounter over at the Magic Kingdom. And then they made a sequel to it found over at Disney Quest. So the one that was found at Disney Quest was also a collaboration with George Lucas, although I don't think they really advertised that at all. They advertised the original one, but I don't think they advertised the sequel at all either. Okay, we've mourned Disney Quest for a few minutes here. Let's bring back Kite Tales. I miss Kite Tales. I don't think many people appreciated Kite Tales the way that I appreciated Kite Tales. I used to watch Kite Tales once a week without fail. Okay, wait, let me get a sip of water. So when Kite Tales first came out, I went over there and I watched the show and I said, this is such a cool show. Like, it's such a cool concept for a show. And it's such an Animal Kingdom show where there's not like, it's just peaceful and it's animals flying through the air. It was the coolest thing in the world. But this is what I hate about some people. This is my biggest pet peeve about some people. There were so many people who hated it. And because they hated it, they said, get rid of Kite Tales. We don't like this at all. And I'm like, no, I like it. Please don't get rid of Kite Tales. I love it. And so many people complained. And then they were like celebrating online. They're like, yeah, we did it. We got rid of Kite Tales. But now we just have an empty theater. There's nothing there. And now people are like, how come they don't have anything there? Because you ruined it. And it really breaks my heart because I really loved Kite Tales. I loved watching it from every single angle. I loved watching over by the Crash Zone. I loved watching it over by the Theater in the Wild. And the Jungle Book one was great. The Lion King was great. It was just a beautiful show. Like, it really was a beautiful show. And it really makes me sad that so many people decided that what they should do is, because they don't like something, they should go online and try to take something down. And they succeeded. And I'm so mad they succeeded. And I talked to a few members of the staff, and they loved it. Like, they're like, this is the greatest job. We literally ride around in jet skis pulling kites behind us. It's a great job. Oh, I'm still sad. I really am still sad about it. I used to watch it at least once or twice a week. And then when it disappeared, I was like heartbroken. I'm still heartbroken. I watched the lighting of the Tree of Life holiday version. Is there an everyday version? If yes, when does it show? Kind of. So it's very rare that you'll see it. So it's mainly only if you are in the park on days when Disney's Animal Kingdom closes after it gets dark out, which is very rare. For a long time there, when Avatar first launched, the park would be open till about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. And when it was open till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, they had it so it was a nightly thing where you could go through, you could watch the entire lighting of the Tree of Life. And they had it so there was a storyline with Avatar. There was a storyline with just animals, with like Africa. There was a dinosaur section. It was a really cool, like, they had 2 or 3 shows. The holiday one too, the lighting of the Tree of Life holiday version, there's 5 different stories. So don't just walk away after the first one, because 5 to 10 minutes later, you'll see a brand new show. So they do have multiple ones going on. So Yeah, but the non-holiday version, it's very, very rare that you'll see it. Most likely, if you go to Disney's Animal Kingdom in January, after all the holiday stuff is done, typically the park is still dark, or it's getting dark around 5 o'clock when the park is usually closing. So there's a chance that you might see it then, but it's not a don't quote me. It's not a guarantee that you're going to see it. I'm going to warn the Restaurantosaurus Lounge. Jimmy and Christian make the best drinks on property. I have heard other people talk about this too. I'm not a drinker. I don't drink at all. I drink water and soda, and that's about it. And Powerade, blue Powerade, to be specific. But yeah, no, people have told me this before. They're like, the two there are the best, but I've not. I've been in there multiple times. I literally just finished writing a book about it, but I have not drank anything from there. So, Jimmy and Christian, well done. You are being talked about. Second question: what is the story of the Merry Menagerie puppets? It's not a very elaborate story, but essentially it is that a little bit of, I'm trying to think of how they put it. They had like a little short story when it first came out, and the first year when you bought the puppets. I bought the puppets for my nieces and nephew. When you bought the puppets, they had like a little thing the first year. They don't have it anymore. They had like a little thing, and it was just like a little bit of Christmas spirit fell down upon the animals of Animal Kingdom, bringing a little bit of Christmas joy for people to see. So the puppets all have names, and I cannot think of any of their names right now, even though I've talked to those puppeteers multiple times. But yeah, it's essentially that because it is Christmas and because it is Animal Kingdom, that there was some sort of snowstorm that hit, and it caused a little bit of magic, holiday magic, to happen there inside of Disney's Animal Kingdom. I love the Merry Menagerie. I think it's one of the coolest things ever. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here, I literally just had a picture the other day of it on my Instagram. Oh, wait a minute. I was already on Instagram when I opened. I just closed it down. There we go. So it's these puppets, and they kind of go around. They've got reindeer, they've got penguins, they've got birds, they've got a fox, they've got birds, the birds of the air, the fox. There's two small penguins together. There's another set of two small penguins together. There is a single penguin, that's a small one, and there's a big penguin. And then they also have the big reindeer and the little reindeer, the fox, and I'm missing one. I'm just drawing a blank on which one I'm missing. But yeah, overall, I think that I love it. I think it is one of my favorite holiday things that Disney does. I think it's one of the most overlooked things that Disney does. Motorcycle outside. I just don't know anyone who drives a motorcycle on my street. But yeah, I think it's one of the, I don't know, if you've never seen it, I highly, highly, highly recommend checking it out, because it is definitely worth checking out at some time during your trips to Disney. So if you've not gone, please make sure you go. How is the Disney Sea in Japan? I'm not familiar, but it sounds really cool. I don't know. I've never been. Oh, I literally just got a message. I know. Is it 4 people? I think it's 4 people. I have 4 different friends. No, 6 friends now. 2 of them just accomplished their feat that have been to every Disney park in the world. I am missing the Asian parks. I've been to the 6 that are in the U.S., and I've also been to the 2 that are in Europe, but I have missed the bear. Thank you. That's the one I was missing. But yeah, I have not experienced Disney Sea in Japan, sadly. If you want to help me become a Patreon pal, it's on my list, and like I really want to go soon, like maybe tomorrow. I can't afford it right now, unfortunately. So I am just trying to have it so all of my other things are set financially, and then we can start looking at going to Asia. And I really want to go back to Disneyland Paris. And I also want to just go to like Australia and New Zealand and different places like that, because those are things I've just wanted to go to for my whole life. But Disney Sea looks amazing. One of my friends has been, or like I said, I've got 6 friends who have been, but the one friend I talked to earlier today, this is why it makes me so sad. One of my friends I talked to earlier today, she has been to all 6 or all 12, and she goes on and on about how Tokyo Disney Sea is the best Disney park in her opinion, with all the different ports of call and all the different attractions, and it makes me want to go out there. So like every time I talk to one of those 6 people, but yeah, there's another couple that I know, and they had been to Disneyland Paris, but they had never gone to the Walt Disney Studios park, the second park there. And they just went out there for the first time ever. And they were like, oh, now we've done all 12. I'm like, oh, I'm only have done 8. Wait, 8? Yeah, 8. I've done 8 so far. So I'm missing 4. But sometime soon. Let's go. Okay. Robert is going to take us all to... Robert, you're going to pay, right? All right. Hello. Here's my question. Will the Muppets return to DCA in their former theater as they come back home? Long live the Muppets. I don't think so. Okay, so I'm 99% positive that the new Avatar land that is going to be coming to Disney's California Adventure, I think it's going to be in that area. So I think that Mike and Sully to the rescue, the Monsters Inc. attraction out there. I think the theater where originally it was the Aladdin musical, now it's the Frozen musical, now it's nothing. I think that, along with Mickey's PhilharMagic, which is currently sitting over there, I think all of those are going away, and I think that's going to become the Avatar land. They don't know yet, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that's going to be where we're going to get our Avatar land. I'm still convinced too. If you did not join us when we talked about the different changes coming to the Disney parks after the D23 announcements, I'm 100% convinced, and I could be wrong, but I'm 100% convinced. Hello, Alaska. I am 100% convinced that what Disney is going to do here is, so if you go to Pandora here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, that entire thing is themed around like the floating mountains and different things like that portion of Pandora, the planet. And then this next one is going to be all the sea-based stuff. And I think the next one, or the next movie, which is supposed to be like a completely different biome of the planet, I think that biome is going to be placed inside of Disneyland Paris sometime in the future. And then the next biome that they introduce in the 4th movie will be over in Tokyo or Shanghai or Hong Kong. I think what they're doing is they're saying, okay, just like these characters can go all around the actual planet in Pandora, you can go around the planet of Earth and actually visit those same spots by going to different Disneylands, which I think would be really cool. So that's my theory. I could be wrong, but I feel like I could be right on this one too. Make sure to make a video when you... Oh, definitely. I will definitely be going through. I'm sad about the Muppets 3D. I am too. We were just talking about it a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's going to live on in Disney's Hollywood Studios, just in a different section of the park. But we will see if my theories are correct or not. I feel pretty confident. I do feel pretty confident. I know a few people who are Imagineers, and they will tell me when I'm wrong, but they'll never tell me when I'm right about something. And I pitched the idea to one of them the other day, and he did not say I was wrong, but he didn't say I was right either. But he didn't correct me. So I think we'll see. I have a feeling that Muppet Vision's not going to be going that way. Why no Muppet Land? Funny you should ask that. So there actually was an original concept of a Muppet-themed land over at Disney MGM Studios when the park first opened up. There was a few different movies and franchises they are actually considering. So there was an idea for a Muppet Land at one point, and it didn't really gain too much traction. I still want to go on the Great Muppet Movie Ride. So they were going to have an entire movie where the Muppets recreated famous scenes from famous live-action movies. So, like, you could have Casablanca, but it was going to be Kermit and Miss Piggy saying goodbye in front of the plane. And I love that concept. I'm surprised they never did that concept, but they're going to have attractions like that. There's other franchises that they're going to go through. They're going to have a Rocketeer Land when the Rocketeer first launched in theaters back in 1991. 91. I think it was 1991. All the people who are coming later are asking the same questions people were asking earlier. Favorite Muppet, we covered this earlier, but Gonzo, Fozzie, and probably Pepe the shrimp. I'm a king prawn. So they're going to have a Rocketeer Land, and then when the movie did not succeed, they figured, okay, they're not going to do a Rocketeer Land. Originally, Rocketeer was actually planned for a few different movies. They figured if it was going to be a successful film, they may as well make a few different movies out of it, and then they could also have turned those movies into a brand new land over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, because it would be set in the same time period as Disney MGM Studios. The other land they considered for quite some time was a Who Framed Roger Rabbit land, because that was actually all the craze. Actually, two of the three Roger Rabbit short cartoons. Now, there was Who Framed Roger Rabbit that came out in 1988, and then they had three short cartoons that came out later on. One of them was Tummy Trouble, and I can't think of the other two names. But there was three short cartoons that came out later on. One of them came out before, I want to say The Rocketeer, actually. One of them came out before Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then I can't think of the third movie. But they were short cartoons before these movies. But two of those short cartoons actually were completely done inside of the animation building at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And then the other land that they were considering at one point was Dick Tracy. So Dick Tracy was a Disney film, but it was put out by their Touchstone label. But Dick Tracy was actually a pretty popular, or not pretty popular movie. It sang pretty bad, but it was a pretty popular comic book series. And so when they made the movie, they were thinking, oh, this movie is going to be huge. They had so many big stars, and like they actually had a lot of big stars and a lot of big names working on the Dick Tracy movie, that they were convinced it was going to be a huge hit. They can make an entire land about it, because again, it was set in that time period of the 1930s, 1940s Hollywood, and then it just did not work out for them. So what's the deal with the Grimm brothers and Walt Disney's past? Scary, family-friendly versions of the same stories. So a big part of it was a lot of the original fairy tales that that the Disney company would use, things like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, not Lady and the Tramp, because that wasn't one of them. Sleeping Beauty, like a lot of those ones, those were just stories that Walt Disney was extremely familiar with just from growing up. Same thing with Peter Pan. Walt Disney actually played the role of Peter Pan in the high school play, or not the high school play, in his like grade school play. So a lot of these stories that Disney told were just stories that Walt Disney himself was very familiar with. Then you have characters like Lady and the Tramp, which have completely different, completely unique things. So the character of Tramp was actually found in a literary magazine. This is actually one of my favorite fun finds and my first book from Screen to Theme. But he was actually found in a literary magazine, and that literary magazine went through a lot of different changes throughout the years, and now it's known as Cosmopolitan. It was known as Cosmopolitan then too, but it wasn't like a beauty magazine. It used to be actually like a magazine where people could send in stories, they could write things. And one of the stories was about this scrappy little dog, and Disney liked it enough, so they contacted the person who wrote the story. They purchased the rights of the character, and they made Lady and the Tramp out of it. So yeah, not too bad. I don't know if you play video games, but I just thought it'd be cool if they could include the Muppets in the new Kingdom Hearts game. I don't play video games at all, but that actually would be pretty cool. I'll play I used to play a Muppets game on my phone back in 2012. I'm 100% positive it was 2012. In 2012, or maybe it was 2013. Now I'm not 100% positive. They used to have this game, and it was like the Muppet Band game, and the characters would sit there and they would just play instruments, and it started off with just one character that you could buy. And I think it was Kermit, and he was just like, ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum. And then what would happen is you could earn money from their performances, and then you could buy other Muppets until you had like a whole band out there. And I was obsessed with this game until finally, like one day I was looking at it, I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I can't believe I've been playing this for like 3 months now. Who is Waldo from Muppet Vision 3D? So as the story goes in Muppet Vision 3D, Waldo is a creation by Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and his assistant Beaker. Mimi. But Waldo actually was he's the first ever 3D puppet. Let me get another drink here. He was the first ever 3D puppet before Muppet Vision came out. So back in the late 1980s, Waldo appeared on the Muppet Show, or the Muppets Tonight, I should say. Muppet Show was the one from the 70s and 80s. 80s to 90s was Muppets Tonight. And Waldo became the first ever 3D puppet using different graphics and stuff. So when you're actually watching Waldo in Muppet Vision 3D, that's an actual puppet still. It's not just all computer generation. It was actually a puppet that a puppeteer was going through, making the mouth move, making the movements move. So he actually is a puppet from start to finish. Who knew? Now you do. Are you excited about the new Lilo and Stitch live remake? I guess so. I some of the live action remakes I enjoy. I really enjoyed Cinderella. I really enjoyed Lady and the Tramp. There was another one that I really liked, and now I'm trying to blank on which one it was. Oh, it's one of the newest ones too. Wait a minute. Which one was it? List of Disney live action remakes. Which one was it? Oh, Cruella. Cruella, in my opinion, is one of the coolest live action films that Disney's ever done. I've watched that one so many times. It's kind of ridiculous. Actually, on the cruise that we just did in September, there was one night where I was like, oh, I'm just going to go up to the top deck. I'm going to film some stuff. And I was up there filming, and all of a sudden Cruella was on the big screen up there at starting 11 o'clock. And the next thing I knew was 12:45, and I was still watching Cruella. I was like, oh my gosh. I told them I was going to be back in 10 minutes, and they're probably wondering where I am. I was watching Cruella. So I don't mind the live. I'm just not a big fan of live action remakes. There are some that I think are really well done, and then some Lion King. It was like a shot for shot remake. Mufasa. I'm excited by it because it's actually an original story. It's a new story, yet it lives in the same universe as the Lion King. But I'm excited for a brand new story to be told. That's what I like. I like having brand new stories to be told. But yeah, we'll see. Was that live action Black Cauldron? Black Cauldron would be kind of cool, actually. That could be a well done one. I think if it was some of the less popular ones, I think that'd be fun. But yeah, Lilo and Stitch, I'll still see it. Don't get me wrong, I'll still see it. I'm just not. It's not one of those where I'm like, haha, I need to go see Lilo and Stitch. Any word of a Disney Plus movie in the works, like the live version of Lady and the Tramp, Cruella, besides Moana 2? I mean, the live action Moana. So Disney Plus always has a lot of different new movies coming out. They actually just came out with one last Friday, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is. I have not watched it yet, so I cannot be the subject. I'm probably going to watch it maybe tonight or tomorrow. Oh, there's that noise. Okay, what's the movie called before we go through here? It is Out of My Mind. And it's about a girl with cerebral palsy, and it looks like a really well done film. So I want to watch it. I just have not had the chance to watch it yet. I've been so busy with everything else in my life right now. But yeah, we don't have any Disney Plus movies that are huge coming out, but we'll see. Yes, Kingdom Hearts needs Muppets. Brent, we need you to play Kingdom Hearts 3 sometime since you never play. Okay, so do you guys want to hear my Kingdom Hearts story? We're going to give you guys, we usually end right now, but we're going to give you guys some extra innings. It's Thanksgiving. Let's do some extra innings here, or some extra time. So this is my Kingdom Hearts story, and it's a sad story. Kingdom Hearts, the first Kingdom Hearts game came out in 2002. And the reason I know it was 2002 because it was the year that I graduated high school and I started college. And when I started college, my roommate and I did not get along. We were just randomly assigned roommates. This was before Facebook or Twitter or MySpace, before any of those social media apps. So it was you just kind of, you were assigned a person, and you just had to live with what you got. And I got assigned to a person who was very selfish. He literally, I measured it out one time. He took 80% of the room as his own, and then he had it to my loft and my computer was below it, and then the rest of the room was his. And he actually told me that multiple times, like, no, this part of the room is mine. If you got here before I did, that could be in your room. I'm like, what? So we did not get along. But I had a lot of Disney stuff in my room because I'm Brent Dodge. And he knew I liked Disney. He had a PlayStation 2 and he bought Kingdom Hearts when it came out. And I got home one day, the day that Kingdom Hearts came out. I got home back from class and he said, look at what I bought. I got Kingdom Hearts. I said, oh, that's supposed to be a really cool game. Like, it's supposed to be Disney and Final Fantasy stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I figured this would be a great thing because, like, you like Disney and I like Final Fantasy. He goes, maybe we could bond over this. And I was like, we're turning over a new leaf. This is great. And then he said, you can never watch me play and you can't play yourself. He's like, if you want to, you can listen to the game. I was like, what? So I heard the game a lot. I caught glimpses of it every now and then, but I never got to play. And because of that, I was always like, I really want to watch this game, or I want to play this game, but I've never had the opportunity to. So I don't really know much about it. I can tell you what some of it sounds like, but yeah, it's Kingdom Hearts. I do want to play sometime, but I want to play all of them sometime. I think just looks like fun, but the last video game system I have is a Wii. I bought it in 2010. It was like almost to the day. It was right around Thanksgiving of the year that I moved down here. So 14 years ago, right around now. What's next live action? I already answered that one. I'm on the fence with Lilo and Stitch. I heard Mr. Bubbles is going to have a smaller part in the film than what he had in the cartoon, which in my opinion played an important part in the cartoon. I agree. I like Mr. Bubbles. So we'll see. I mean, I'll still go see it. I like if they can make it its own. Like, that's why I didn't like Lion King. Beauty and the Beast. I think it's a beautiful film, but it's almost like shot for shot remake and shot for shot, like exact same lines. I remember for Beauty and the Beast, halfway through the movie, I had to go to the bathroom, and I was going to be like, oh, to my friend who I went with, I was going to tell her, like, hey, just make sure, like, you fill me in. And then I was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. And while I was going towards the bathroom, I was playing the animated version in my head. And by the time I was walking back the hall, I was like, it should be at this scene. And it was on that exact scene. So I was like, it's just like a shot for shot remake of the entire film. So, I think Beauty and the Beast was beautiful, but I don't know. I like Cinderella because it like told a new story. I liked Cruella because it told a new story. Lady and the Tramp had enough differences that I thought it was a really good film. But yeah, we just need more. What if Mickey and Friends has an original movie? I would love to have a Mickey and Friends original movie. And something like back in 2004, they had Mickey, Goofy, and Donald in the not the Three Amigos. Yeah, the Three Amigos. No, not the Three Amigos. The Three Musketeers. Three Amigos is Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short. But they had the Three Musketeers with those three. I thought that was a great film. So if they had more of those films, I would be very, very happy. So far, the only live remake I liked is Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. Aladdin, I thought was different enough that I did enjoy it. But yeah, I don't know. For most of the live action remakes, I'm like, I'll see it. Oh, I liked Little Mermaid. I thought Little Mermaid was good. It had enough of a twist. That's the thing, is if it has enough of a twist from the original animated version, I do enjoy it. But if it's, some of the stuff, I'm just like, it's the same story, just different animation or different actors. And yeah. Okay. But it looks like that might be all of the questions out there. So first off, as always, tonight's episode is sponsored by our Patreon pals. If you're one of our Patreon pals out there in the chat room right now, give us an oh yeah. Oh, wait, and before we wrap up here tonight, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And I would like to give a huge thank you to everyone out there. Oh, wait, here. Did I hear something about Disney returning to drone show at Disney Springs? I got to see the Christmas drone show in 2016. They had a drone show this past summer, but it was successful, but it caused a lot of chaos at Disney Springs, and I don't think Disney Springs will bring it back. There was a lot of violence because of it. A lot of people who said, "Oh, I can get free Disney entertainment without paying to a park," and then it was it was bad. My mouth is so dry right now. Yeah, so I don't know if they're gonna bring another one. One of my friends is in charge of a lot of the Disney Springs stuff, and he's like the higher ups that work Disney Springs, like they don't want the drone show ever to return. um, so we'll see if it happens or not. But tomorrow is Thanksgiving. And before we wrap up here, I do want to give everyone out there a very special thank you, guys. I really, truly cannot thank you guys enough for allowing me to come on here every single Wednesday and talk to you guys about Disney and bring you guys videos every single day too about Disney. It really, like, I'm so lucky because every single day I get to talk about things that I love and show people details that I love and stories that I love. And it really means a lot that you guys tune in. So thank you so much to everyone out there, whether you're new or you're old or you're young or old. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys tune in and you like the videos and you watch the videos and you subscribe and you share it with your friends and all that other fun stuff. So thank you so much. I truly appreciate every single one of you guys out there. I hope you guys all have amazing Thanksgivings tomorrow to you. But for you and your families, I hope everyone out there has a very happy Thanksgiving. I'll be spending the day at the park unless I get called in for work. Right now I might be going to work, unfortunately, but I am on call. So we will see if I have to go in or not. But otherwise, I am planning on spending the day over at the different parks and just kind of enjoying my time at Disney as I usually do. But we will have still new videos coming out tomorrow, new shorts coming out tomorrow, and a new Disney book coming out in the very near future as well. So watch out for that as well. But thank you everyone out there. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Are they gone? Are they gone? Well, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't